Hey, my friend asked me to make a video of me weaving, and so we'll see how this goes. I'm actually putting my new warp on the loom. So there's my loom, and there's all the yarn that's eventually going to go on. It's going to be for 3 10-inch wide scarves. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm doing what they call slaying the reed, which is bringing, well, actually I've already slayed the reed because I've taken the yarn through the reed, and now I'm putting them through the heddles. And I'm going to go around to the other side and show you what that looks like. Hang on a second. I got to pause. So I'm going to show you how I bring the thread through the heddles here. I only have 2 harnesses on my loom. That means one up, one down is basically what happens. I don't have any fancy patterns. I do have 2 more harnesses that I don't put on the loom just because I tend to do a plain weave. I could put them on. I probably will put them on when I do the blanket because it'll be a little bit heavier. So basically, I take, I go back and forth from one harness to the other. I put this cute little hook in here and I grab the next thread in line. I was taught this way. I know there's a lot of people these days who weave, who warp their loom from the back, and that's probably pretty cool. I don't have all of the equipment that they use, shakes and things like that. So I just do it this way. And again, some people do this from the front of the loom, and that does prevent your yarn from having to go through these heddles twice, which certainly when you have certain types of yarn, you don't really, it can pull off a lot of the, it can pull off some of the pile on the heddles, which you don't want. But I've not really ever had much problem from doing it this way. So again, I just kind of pull through. Go back to the next harness and keep going. Once I have enough threads, a few threads through, then I'll just pull them together. I'll make sure the ends are all, match. I'll get them together, and then I'll make a little knot like I've done here so that they don't pull through until I tie them on. So now I pulled all my ends together, and I'm just going to tie a little slip knot here before I go on to the next. And so I'm going to stop for now, and then whenever I get the rest of these on, I'll tie it on, and then I'll show you how I pull it all onto this back bar. Okay, so now I've got everything through the heddles, and I'm actually going to pull this back beam down just a little bit, and you can see this is I'm going to actually tie these beginning in the middle onto this. It's very simple. I just want to get myself lined up here so that I'm balanced. And so you can see there's these little spaces. I will take my little knot I made already, and I will separate my threads. I don't think you can really see that. I guess I better get it back up here on the beam. I'm just going to take my threads, and I'm going to do a double loop here so that I can tighten. And I'm going to try not to have too much waste, but and then I'm going to keep doing that with the next little bunch until I have them on. And one of the things that I learned recently was about pulling my warp all the way over here so that when I pull it to tighten it, which you'll see in a minute, it will be nice and taut. Okay, so that was pretty easy. Now it's all tied on, as you can see, it's here. But now I've got to take all of this yarn, this this pile of yarn down there, and I want to roll it on to this beam. So I'm going to kind of pull this to keep it tight as I roll it on to this beam by turning that down there. Okay, so I'm still putting the warp on, and I'm grabbing this to keep the tension as I wrap. The other thing is I'm putting this paper in between the layers so that the yarn won't stick together. I'm just going to show you just a little bit about what this looks like. Again, this is not an instructional video. This is just because somebody asked me what did it look like. There's probably weavers out there who would say, oh my gosh, what is she doing? And so as you can see, there's a lot of yarn to mess with. So I'm going to go back over here. I use my reed and the knots in my reed to kind of keep a little bit of tension. So over on this side, what I'm doing is kind of untwisting some of the yarns. I didn't go exactly in order, so it's kind of sticking to each other because, you know, it's wool. So I'm using my reed to pull knots out of it and keep some tension, as well as pulling from the top. So here I am in my LL beam down. Okay, so now again, I will keep turning. Hopefully. It's obviously easier if you have a couple of people. I never have, so. See my yarn, it's a little bit twisted here, but it's okay. I'm going to stop again. So now it's all on. There's the front. It's all wrapped. Why can't you see the end of that? It's all wrapped under all of this paper, probably not as tight as it should be. And so now I'm ready to begin weaving. Where's my foot? Down here where I can release the back bar, which is what I do. Release the back bar, and then I wind up here. I'm actually doing this in a very kind of cheap way because I'm not using the handle. I'm actually just hand tightening, as you can see, because I don't want a really tight warp. Just like so now I have a much bigger shed. And just kind of keep going. See, this is the fast, fun part. Usually, I'm kind of messing with getting the ends here because I'm alternating, so I don't want them to pull out on the edge. This is really pretty yarn. This more blue yarn is Malibrigo brand. I don't know, it's a chunky yarn. I don't remember who this color yarn is. And I am weaving on a 1948 Macomber loom. It's a Macomber out of harness loom, originally out of Saugus, Mass. I did not know until I moved here. And now they're out of Maine. This loom was rescued from a fire at Laguna Gloria Museum in Austin. And I bought it from the woman who cleaned it up after the fire. It was like 30 years ago. I'll show you this is looking like in just a second.
We'll get to some of the yellow. Let's see if that's good. No, I know my shed's getting really small. Forward it in just a second. I just want to finish this. See how pretty this is going to be. Okay, so this is kind of what it's going to look like. Let's see. It's not too bad. I kind of like that yellow up there. Weaving with Lacey.